Today we're going to consider the nuances of grief that happen with the diagnosis of cancer. The grief we're talking about today is not grief from a death. It is a grief that is inherent in diagnosis, treatment, and post-treatment. This grief looks like physical challenges, body image, social implications, loss of finances or career, challenges to sexuality and intimacy, challenges in religious or spiritual connections, loss of fertility, loss of time to treatments, loss of the future story as you envisioned it, and the lingering fear of reoccurrence. Please watch the video right to the end and let me know what I may have overlooked or what I got wrong or what resonated with you. I'm Jo McRogers, a therapist who supports grief, and I'm very glad that you found us here at Grief Support That Works. 1 week ago, I had the pleasure of facilitating a 3-day retreat for 13 women who had a diagnosis of breast cancer. We laughed, we cried, we spoke about self-care, spirituality, relationships, sexuality, and connection. We quickly identified that grief needs to be widely defined. I often define grief as change not by choice, and a diagnosis of cancer brings much grief. The first place that grief shows up is in anticipatory grief. Suspicions and tests involve a lot of waiting, and waiting is a massive mind suck of nothingness but fear. Symptoms have led to further tests. Routine tests have revealed some suspicious results. The wheels turn slowly and we wait, or the wheels turn quickly and the alarm bells get louder and louder. Waiting then creates chronic stress. Chronic stress then creates cortisol that courses through our mind and body. This leads to more dysregulation, both physically and emotionally, which then leads to more stress. Anticipatory grief can be very difficult to identify and define. Next comes a diagnosis. The first reactions are shock, short, sharp breaths, and we assume a protective posture, we assume a protective mindset, and these are instant results from being told that you or someone you love has a diagnosis of cancer. Your trust is broken with the world. The world is no longer a safe, predictable place. This is grief. Now comes treatment. You need to turn your trust and your body over to the providers in your life. Treatments test results. Treatment tests results. This is an act of surrendering to a system, and many of us don't go there gently. As you undergo treatments, you will likely experience side effects. Your quality of life will change and suffer. You will have no control over your schedule. And while all of this is necessary, it separates you from your instinct, from your gut, from your intuition. You may also lose your usual landmarks of self-reliance, your sense of beauty or worth, independence or leadership. Who you know yourself to be will be challenged. This is grief. Treatments then end, and you now enter into a post-treatment category. This again can be so scary as you're no longer reassured by frequent monitoring, lab results, numbers, scans, tests. All of these were concrete supports to tell you that things were okay, things were improving with your health. You had concrete results and numbers. But now that you're post-treatment, you're left with nothing but the fear and the worry. This now leaves you with the sense of fear of recurrence, and there are no ways to concretely check this. Others around you will celebrate that it's all over now and you can return to your life. This is such a myth. This is more grief. So, how to address these layers of grief? Fear and short, sharp breath has been your posture. Tip number 1 is to please begin by being in your body for this shitty ride. Breath work and posture send messages to your brain and your heart about safety or fear. My second suggestion is to create your code of conduct, to create your mission statement. No matter where you are in this process, it will be helpful to create your code of conduct. So what does your code of conduct look like? What do you want to guide you through this? Is it trust versus skepticism? Connection versus isolation? Truth talking versus repressing? Movement versus idleness? Nutrition versus scarcity and junk food? Routines and rituals? The third suggestion I have is to invite your intuition along for this shitty ride again. Where can you exercise small places of power, control, and influence? We all need a sense of power, control, and influence in our lives in order to feel grounded and safe. So while it sounds like trite little examples, use your intuition to decide what you're going to wear today with intention. Which headscarf or which hat is right for you today? Can you invite in small moments throughout your day of being with your gut? Can you check in with your gut? How am I now in this moment? Can you use a journal to do some free writing? Get in touch with your gut, what needs to be said. Can you draw a card from an oracle deck or angel cards? And tip number 4, please, it's so important to cultivate your team. After you create your code of conduct, inform your team about what is helpful to you. Please find a way to disregard the comments that aren't helpful or that don't resonate with you. Don't let the phrases of, oh, it's good that you caught it early, or I have a neighbor who beat cancer, or just need to stay positive. Please don't let those phrases shake you. Use your code of conduct to speak about what is helpful if in fact this is somebody that you want support from. Others around you will want to end your fear and your pain. Let them know, please, that you need to be with it and that this is how you can be with it. Don't look to everybody for everything. Learn what you can get from whom in your team. Please don't ask your type A organizer friend to sit with your feelings. Ask them to organize the food train so that food shows up at your house. And please don't ask your deep feeling friend to be the one to organize the food train. Ask them to just sit silently with you and to pass the tissues. And tip number 5, have a relationship with your fears. They are real, they are legitimate, they need to be acknowledged, recognized, and addressed. So name your rabbit holes. Name the ones that call you to sink you. Naming them helps you to depersonalize them. And then you can say, oh, hello, fearful Fred. What are you trying to bring to my attention this time? Next, be sure to label your fear fantasies. What are the common thought distortions? And they always show up. What are the common thought distortions that are showing up for you? Distill them down. Distill them down. Please watch my other video that talks about 3 common thought distortions. Ask yourself, is the fear reasonable, irrational, or factual? Ask yourself frequently if you are now problem solving or problem generating through this fear. And my last tip is to find the formal support that you may need, because those around you may not be able to give you what you need because they are having their own experience of your experience. A cancer diagnosis can challenge our visions for our future. As I said, this is change not by choice. This is grief. So please tell me what I've missed. What thoughts have my ramblings sparked for you, and which parts might have resonated for you? Please comment below. I always read all of the comments, and I really do hope that you have found these tips helpful. This video is dedicated to the 13 lovely women who shared their thoughts, their fears, their tears, and their compassion at the Dragonfly Retreat a week ago. As you work to support all the nuances of grief of a cancer diagnosis of either yourself or someone who you care about, I send you kind thoughts, kind words, and a kind heart. Thank you, and take good care.